Fatherlessness and forgiveness. So first of all, happy Father's Day to all the dads. I know not many men watch, but just want to throw that out there before I begin. So in the past, I never really acknowledged Father's Day. I would bypass it, give my grandfather a gift, and keep it moving. Never tried to think too much into this day because I knew that would force me to acknowledge what hurt me. I have spent the majority of my life as what I consider fatherless. My brother and I were raised primarily by our mother, who was literally always there, cheerleading, football games, planning birthdays, graduations, finding anything to celebrate, and just sacrificing, doing whatever it took for us. But my father was not, for the most part. I would see my brother act out when we were younger and never thought of it as affecting me because I was a girl and I had my mom. When it comes to my dad, I've gone through stages of denial, anger, sadness, faking happy, and currently now working on forgiveness. I know that anyone whom this video may apply to has their own story for how their father or mother, whomever, was not there for them, whether they passed away, are locked up, were there for you by choice or not by choice, whatever. You've been led here for a reason. So it doesn't matter so much what happened to us. It's more about learning how to deal with what happened to us so that we can move on and focus on becoming better for ourselves and try not to allow that hurt to carry into our latter relationships. When it comes to my own father, I have refused so many times not to forgive him. Just thinking of someone not being there for me, which forced other men to step up for my brother and I, sickened me, honestly. And for so long, I've carried broken memories and heavy burdens. I have younger siblings that are my father's children who look up to me. And if that relates to your situation at all, we have to remember that someone is always watching us. Whether it's your child, your younger siblings, a friend, someone may be watching how you forgive or don't forgive and using that as an example. So I honestly knew that being the oldest child, my unforgiveness was preventing my siblings from also fully healing, as I know that I must lead them, but not even that was enough for me to forgive initially. Where I am right now is not completely free and open or completely forgiving at this point, even though I do pray for that to be my end result. However, I am so grateful for where I am even at this point, because I would hear stories about people who didn't have their fathers in their lives for X amount of years and how they would make up 20 years later and everything was all good and perfect. But honestly, I never wanted that for me. I didn't believe in it. I was against it. But now I'm pretty much at the point where I've accepted the lack of relationship for what it is. Because at the end of the day, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. And I even heard that phrase 100 times before. My mother would convince me that I needed to forgive my father just for myself, and I would refuse. But don't get me wrong, I reached out to him a few times, but because the expectations of what I wanted for a father-daughter relationship were not my reality, I just could not heal nor accept that for some reason. It wasn't until one day that I literally had the biggest breakdown because I knew I was going to see my father this one day. I had not forgiven him at this point, but I knew I was going to see him accidentally, as I would say, because it was never for me or for my events, usually just an accident or accidental like run into for one of my siblings' events. But anyway, on this day, my mind was all over the place. It was scattered. What will I say? Will I hug him? Will I speak to him? So many thoughts that didn't usually cross my mind or overwhelm me on a daily basis literally made me feel like I lost control and that something had to change. I remember telling my friends through our group chat that I felt like God was forcing me to change something with the relationship and that this cycle needed to be broken, but I didn't know how. And I was so used to living in my pain that it was natural to want to stay there. And that feeling was just so powerful. I can't really explain it, but all I know is that I had this attempt that I needed to forgive, and it was for myself. And then I saw this show that told me that without a doubt, every woman marries her father. And I'm not sure if that statement is 100% true, but when I heard it, all I know is that it repeated in my head nonstop. I cried, I denied it, I pouted, then realized that if I didn't at least acknowledge this statement, how could I prevent it from happening to me? Like if I won't even apply the situation to my own life, how can I even try to learn from it? Honestly, that statement scared me to death. I thought of how I currently view my father and how I currently view my fiance, and literally it scared me to death. Like, have I picked up the need to depend on a man? Am I a person that is afraid to be without a man because of not having a father? Do I accept just anything from men just so they don't leave me? Am I afraid of lonely? What do I stand for? Who am I? Will I marry a man who's just like my father? What do I expect and see in men? Literally every thought in the world crossed my mind, and my reality is that no, my fiance is not my father, but do I want the unforgiveness from that relationship with my father to be put on my fiance? Heck no. So I knew something had to change and still does need to change in order to get control of this before I let it control me anymore. So many times our thoughts get in our own way. We're so quick to doubt something or refuse for it to relate to us so quickly that we don't even take the time to listen or even think twice about it. When in reality, we're the ones suffering because we're covering up a deep, open wound with a too small Band-Aid. But acknowledging our hurts are hard, yet that's the first step. As women, we're not made to be weak. We fight, we get it done, we make it happen by any means possible. We don't like to cry, we don't like to admit that everything in our lives aren't perfect. It's so hard, but we have to start from the inside out and start healing ourselves. We are vulnerable, yet we're so beautiful. Our feelings do not limit us. They show that we're human and that we are completely acceptable to have those feelings. It's okay to be hurt and to not want to like someone who has hurt you, but we have to remember that this is our life. We have to live here. We can choose to ignore our true feelings, or we can do our best and try to fix ourselves at our own pace. The reality is that no matter how much we dislike our mother or our father because of their lack of being there, they are our parents and we got something from them. Which traits did you get from your mom? Which did you get from your father? Think about which traits you love of theirs that you have and which you wish to not pass along to your own children. It's so hard to try to understand life through someone else's eyes, but we have to realize that our situations and things that we go through are actually for us to help shape us. No, I would never wish growing up without a father on anyone. However, I do know that all things work together for my good. So maybe if my father was more present, my grandfather would never have had the opportunity to play such an important role in my life. You never know what could have gone wrong had what you think should have happened gone right. So forgive them, because God wrote that in your story. He knew, and God still knows that it's yours to handle and that you're strong enough to handle it. That's why He gave it to you. Fatherlessness has the ability to build you. I may not have been the woman I am today had I not got this as my lesson. So regardless, it's mine, and I'm ready and I'm willing to accept it as mine. I don't claim to know it all, but I do know that if I expect forgiveness when someone I love feels I've done them wrong or hurt them, I have to actually learn how to forgive for myself. And it's not easy, but it's for me. And the hurt and the heaviness that I have let go feels so much better than when I had it. That bitterness was so heavy, and it took so much more energy to learn how to be mad and how to stay angry at this one individual. I just had to realize that I didn't deserve that anymore, and I couldn't count on the one who hurt me to heal me, so it was time to move on. I had to learn how to heal myself. The reality is that people will let you down, and most of the time that's completely outside of our control. We always want to be the toughest, but it's actually pretty tough to forgive. So choose your tough. We can't keep letting past situations that are now outside of our control continue to control us. You can't touch yesterday, so why are you still letting yesterday touch you? Take your forgiveness journey, whether that's just writing down a list of people that you need to forgive and starting there for now, or writing them letters and then burning them after, whatever it takes. But remember that we don't have to cause the hurt that hurt us. Hurt people, and I don't want to hurt anyone else by being spiteful or being mean because of not dealing with my own unforgiveness and issues. More people than just my father have been hurt as a result of my unforgiveness. My siblings deserve to learn forgiveness through me. My future children don't deserve to learn unforgiveness through me. And my future husband surely does not deserve to have to put all the pieces together to my unresolved brokenness. We have the potential to ruin ourselves and other relationships that we touch when we give past hurts permission to keep hurting us. So pray to God that He will deliver you from those feelings and force your mind to get rid of those repeating, hateful, hurtful, unforgiving thoughts. Replace it all with feelings of joy, forgiveness, and the ability to just relax, knowing that what you've learned from forgiving someone else is actually going to help you the most. I didn't listen the first time I was told. Instead, it took me more hurting, more time, more pressure, but at least allow this word to be a reference for you. I am just in my beginning stages of forgiveness, but I am very proud to say that I am not where I was with unforgiveness a year ago, a month ago, or even a week ago. My very first speaking engagement was actually about this same topic, fatherlessness, except I didn't include forgiveness in it at all, and I literally cried the entire time, as so many girls had such similar stories as I do. So I spoke my truth, but I couldn't talk to other people about what comes after realizing that your father isn't present for you. It's forgiveness. We are all just growing, and we deserve to take our time with it. We are more powerful than we think, and sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for how far we've come despite what we've been through. Not every relationship has to be perfect, nor fixed to the point of daily or even monthly conversations or check-ins. But it's about forgiving in your heart, for yourself. So instead of ignoring this day because of feeling like it doesn't apply to me, I want to release every bit of bitterness that I've ever carried on this day for all of these years, which may have taken away from anyone else or anything else that may have been important to me at that time. I also want to wish my father a happy Father's Day, because regardless of our relationship, I am so grateful for my life and for everything in it. I am no longer expecting saving. Instead, I'm just placing it in God's hands and saving myself, because I deserve it and it's for me. And I remember being so afraid to forgive. Like, I say afraid now because when I look back on it, it was nothing but fear. I felt like if I stayed angry, I had more control of the situation. But I had to realize that that was not the case. I was afraid to show that I was upset, afraid to be vulnerable, afraid of looking weak, or like I needed someone who didn't seem to need me. All that did was upset me more, put off my true feelings more, and prevent me from truly fixing and healing the parts of me that needed to be acknowledged. It may seem like you're better off not forgiving and just being angry at someone, but you're not. That's a temporary way of ignoring your body's real needs. It's hard to accept that we are without someone, or that someone hurt us and needs to be forgiven. We truly are able to forgive and move past old hurts, though. We are still strong and beautiful, but remember that time heals nothing unless you move along with it. So we have to keep moving. Don't quit. Celebrate your strength as you go, and realize that the story that God made for you is unlike any other story that He's written for anyone else. Stand strong in that. Let's learn to forgive together, because we need it, and someone else needs to see that it's possible through us. You are whole, you are enough, you are unbreakable. Celebrate a man today, because they all deserve it. Thanks for watching.